Yeah. So now, the origin of Catholic Psych. You made reference to the elements that. So, from your perspective as a professional, give us an evaluation of the landscape of psychology, psychological counseling, apart from what you do. What are its strengths? What may be lacking?
Yeah, so, the way that I look at it, science is really important, in our tradition, we helped create the field of science from a Catholic perspective. We make sense of the observable world around us, the world that God created, and we find the order that He created in it. But right now, this is the analogy that I use. People is if your car breaks down, you need to take it somewhere. Some stuff you might try to fix on your own, but then sometimes you think, "Oh, this is beyond what I'm able to do on my own, so I have to
Mhm,
take it somewhere. I got to find a mechanic."
mhm,
And it's really good if you can have a mechanic who knows how a car is built, how a car is made, who learned the schematics and blueprints of a car from the car manufacturer. And if you took your car someplace where you just have a bunch of guys standing around talking about how the thing might work, coming up with guesses, testing theories, putting a little of this in the gas tank, pressing this button, following this wire. Let's see what happens when we change this belt. And then you come up with different outcomes. It's like, okay, is that useful information? Yes, 100%. Is that where you're taking your car? Probably not. You want the guy who has the manual, who knows how it was built, and is going to get to work looking at your car, judging what's broken about your car against the model of how a fixed car is supposed to look. And in the medical sciences, cardiology, if you need somebody to work on your heart, medical science for cardiology, they have a pretty decent idea of what the heart is supposed to do, what it's supposed to look like, different chemical things, different interactions physiologically, hormonally. And when something's off, we have instruments and tools to measure it, and we can figure out what might work to get it back into where it's supposed to be. So the heart is the object of the science of cardiology. Well, the person is the object of the profession of psychology. And psychologists are attempting to fix persons. But the scandal, and this is like so simple and so basic that it's almost people miss this until you really take a step back and think about it. There is no model for the person in the secular field of psychology. There's no manual. There's no psychologist who's operating in any secular way. There's no degree program. There's no license. There's no state association. There's no ethics code. There's nothing in the world of psychology that's oriented around a model that is a standard of what a human person is. So this is why we're in the situation right now. We have decade after decade of billions of dollars being pumped into working on alleviating mental distress and healing these mental illness issues. And instead of the problems getting better, going away, or the problems getting solved, they're getting worse. It's because nobody knows what the person is. So this is where we come in and we say, well, science is important, but it's not the foundation for what we can know about the person, because we have the spiritual dimension. So we have things that are really important about who we are that are beyond what's measurable in science. And that's where we have, from a Catholic perspective, revealed truth, and we have rational truth. And so we can use faith and reason as actually the foundation for understanding the human person. It should be fleshed out by, enhanced by, colored in by science. And that's our approach. We say we can understand who the person really is and have a model on the object of our treatment based on faith, reason, and science together. And it's the science being grounded on faith and reason.
right. So the concept of the human person, for if I follow your logic, and I do, obviously, because I think you're doing great work, for psychology, for counseling, for intervention to be successful, it has to engage every aspect of the human person. And modern science divorces the whole spiritual dimension of a person.
Yes.
So you don't have all the elements, and therefore you're not addressing all the elements. And chances are when you do that, you're going to over-medicate the physical ones to get some desired result because the spirit is not involved in the conversation. Is that fair to say it that way?
And to be fair, the secular sciences will be open to the conversation, and they use the word spiritual, but they do not mean what we mean with that word.
Right.
Because what we're talking about actually brings us into the realm of the objective, the transcendentals.
Mm-hmm.
And so our spiritual nature means that we are open to things that are objectively true, good, and beautiful. Well, in the secular world, all I mean by spiritual is, do you take breaths? Maybe you use crystals? Maybe you do some woo stuff. You use your smoke and incense and you go to yoga classes. That's your quote unquote spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start to mention or suggest that there's an objective truth that overlays every human person, well, you raise all the alarms, all the flags go off, and they're ready to seek out.
Yeah. Another way to, if I may, at least the way I would understand it is in the secular world, and not just in psychology, but just in general. That's why people say I'm spiritual, right? Is that there's a yearning. There is an inescapable human yearning for ultimate meaning and encounter. It just is what it is, right?
Yes.
That we're built, and therefore they could acknowledge the yearning, but it doesn't necessarily go anywhere.
Right.
That's definitive or objective, and there's no objective path to it. It's just what you make of it.
Right.
Which is a recipe for more anxiety, if you ask my honest opinion.
100%.
Hmm.
Exactly. It's like if you're hungry, literally hungry, you can find hunger inside of yourself, and then you can go have some McDonald's, or you can have a nice, homemade meal with some nice pasta and meatballs, or something that was a lot of effort put into, and it tastes really good, and it fills you up, and it makes you nutritionally satisfied. Those are worlds apart. If you sit there gorging yourself at McDonald's, maybe you think you're meeting your hunger where it is, and maybe you even atrophy your sense of what is actually good food. But at the end of the day, you're just going to get sick and worse.
Thanks for watching. Before you go, please be sure to subscribe, like, hit the bell, leave a comment down below. All of that stuff helps us reach